What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Brave and Faithful podcast. I'm your host, Radian Denicio, and today I have a Canadian Army veteran. He's also the founder and owner of H Hour Marketing. It's a seven-figure company within 2 years. I have Greg Potapenko. What's going on, Greg?
Hey, Aidan, thanks for having me on the show. It's really a pleasure and good to see you again. I think last time we met was face to face at 10X in Miami in 2019.
Yeah, that was
And
you
it
know.
was,
But yeah, I talked a little bit about your company, but before we go into that, can you, I mentioned you were in the Canadian Army. Can you just talk a little bit about that, what you do and how long you've been serving for?
yeah, for sure. So I am I'm in the reserves. I'm currently a company sergeant major for an infantry unit in
Okay.
Toronto, and I joined, 22 years ago in 2000. Just you know, fresh out of high school, pretty much, and it's been quite a journey. So, what else do you want to know?
So you've been in the Army for about 22 years. Any kind of, I mean, that's a long time, right? Like, when do you plan on retiring, and do you plan to continue serving?
That's a good question. I mean, we're a fairly small unit right now, so we actually have a shortage of senior NCOs, and you kind of look left and you look right, and there's no one else, and well, you got to step up and lead, and you know, um, um, no set plans. Just gonna keep doing it as long as I can, based on civilian commitments with work, business, family, things of that nature. But I mean, I love I love the unit. I love the service, and yeah, no set plans to leave it just yet.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for your continued service. And then I'm also, I mentioned the seven-figure company, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's great to hear that you still have that sense of duty and service to serve your country. But then also you also H Hour. How did you start this business? I was looking at your website. You've been doing online businesses before. You've been doing affiliate marketing before. How did you like find out about all this stuff?
Uh, Great question. And actually, like I started dabbling in internet marketing and online business actually way before. Um, it was back in 1998 actually. So
Okay.
I was just like I'm an immigrant, so I wasn't born in Canada. I came over in 1997, and I didn't have any friends, but I got a computer thankfully from my dad, and I just went online and joined a bunch of forums, and I wanted to kind of create a blog way before blogging platforms were even a thing. So I had to learn how to create a basic web page, and I think it was Angel Fire at the time. So anyways, I learned HTML, and then figured out how to build websites. And then figured out how to make money. Actually, 98, 99, I made a few $1,000s by basically placing banner advertisements on the little websites that I would create. And then you'd go in these bulletin boards with links. There was no Google, right? It was just like
Yeah.
people wanted to find out what is the next newest website they need to visit. So you go and basically expand the bulletin board every day to be on top, right? And then people would click the ads and get commissions. So it was pretty cool making money as a teenager on the computer. But then that kind of dried up, and I went the traditional route. Like I had to finish high school, and I joined the military. Then I joined Canadian University and got a finance degree. I worked a civilian job for a couple of years, and then around 2007, I figured, well, it's pretty expensive here in Toronto, and I'm about to start a family, and I kind of stumbled upon this affiliate marketing community online, and they were making money doing lead generation, basically generating loan leads and financial services leads.
Okay.
And I thought, well, I know how to make a website, so I can probably make a lead gen website. Now I need to just figure out how to, send traffic. So I taught myself Google Ads, how to, at the time they were called AdWords, and there was no not a whole lot of options back then. There was no Facebook ads. There was no, Snapchat, no TikTok, none of that.
Right.
So
The
really,
early stages.
Google and Yahoo and a few other things. And yeah, so lost a bunch of money first and almost quit, but thankfully I didn't, and kind of doubled down, looked at the data. I was, thanks to my finance degree, I was pretty good with spreadsheets and with the data, and I found some pockets of profitability, and slowly but surely. And first year I made like 13 grand on the side, right? So after losing like 5 or 6 grand trying, and then next year I pretty much made my corporate salary um, on the side. So
Okay.
after a couple of years of that, I was confident, and actually in 2011 I went all in. So it's going to be in exactly 1 week. It will be 10 years since I've been doing marketing full time. And yeah, so it was affiliate marketing first, and then started doing some agency work for clients, running campaigns for them, and consulting, and started e-commerce about 4 years ago when Shopify, another Canadian company, became a big household name around the world. So I've been doing kind of those three things: affiliate marketing, e-commerce, and then agency work / consulting for well, over 10 years now, full time, and even more prior to that. So
That's
that's the journey.
yeah, that's awesome, man. So you mentioned you started as a teenager, kind of
Mhm.
doing like lead gen and creating websites before you even enlisted in the military.
Yeah.
And then you said you got back into it in around 2007.
Mhm.
Um, you know, try to provide additional income to support your family, right?
Yeah.
And then now, well, about 2011 is when you went all full in
Yeah.
into the business, into marketing. Talk a little bit about like those different stages of of your entrepreneurship journey, right? Like,
Mhm.
what were some of the like lessons learned that you took away from it, and if there was there anything that the military taught you that you learned to apply in your entrepreneurship journey or in your business?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's probably a lot of things to mention here. But yeah, so at first it was like, I was really working hard. I was hustling. So I would actually like, work my civilian work during the day. Then
Mhm.
at night, I would go down and train with the unit, and we train, twice a week here, and then 1 or 2 weekends a month. And that's not including courses and concentrations and things like that. So in between that, I was also studying for a CFA exam to kind of further my finance career. That's a very tough exam, like only 30% pass rate on each level in S3. So and then I was also, burning the midnight oil, like Gary Vee says, the 9 to 5. So
Yeah.
that's what I was doing. I was literally like staying up till 1, 2, 3 a.m. and working on the internet business. I mean, so the first thing that from the military that applied was the ability to go on without freaking sleep. Like when, believe it or not, like those nights when you go 4 or 5 days patrolling or sitting in the trench or
Yeah.
whatever, and uh, zero sleep or a couple hours here and there, that kind of conditioned me to be able to withstand that type of pace for several years, right? Like, so you got a baby, you got a job, you got a second job, you got exams, and you're trying to run a business, right? Eventually, like I couldn't really sustain it, so I started to let go of things. So the CFA exam had to go. Then I quit the full time work, and then I went in on the business. That was like so the hard work, discipline, time management, and just being able to physically withstand the stress to this day is entrepreneurship can be very, very stressful. Like this year has been super stressful for me based on multiple factors, and I do give a lot of credit to my military training, the resilience, the physical conditioning, and all that mental toughness that they instill in you to assist in that. When at first it was just me, then I started hiring some help, mostly virtual, and then
Virtual
for
assistants.
Yeah, virtual assistants, web designers, ad managers, and customer support and whatnot. And actually, there was two occasions where I actually had a physical office in Toronto. So I tried both models, and remote and hybrid and fully in person. So when I had an office, I had to run a physical team, and definitely, the military leadership and team building helped, but also it hurt. What I mean by that is that it was a lesson to me that employees are not troops, and that was a big
Yeah,
revelation. And I think that's like a big difference between an organization like the military, when you're usually unified by a common goal and a mission, and everybody's working towards that mission, and guy on your left and the girl on your right as your brother and sister. And we have mixed combat arms, so infantry is equal.
right.
It is a lot different with a like kind of hodgepodge civilian world, and of course it's on me as a leader to I hire those people. At the end of the day, like, they may not have the same mission, they may not have the same motivation, they may not have the same kind of values and culture things. So yeah, it was I had to adjust my expectations of
Right.
leading a military team versus a civilian team, and it's a learning experience. um, what else from the military? Resourcefulness, being able to I've bootstrapped two seven-figure companies basically from nothing. I didn't take any capital, it was just me and a couple of credit cards. Being scrappy, adapting and overcoming, like all of those catchphrases you probably
Right.
know. That's very handy. Again, I think later on as you scale, it kind of becomes a handicap, if you will, like that constant scrappiness, like eventually may turn around and bite you in the ass, where like maybe you're trying to save a couple of bucks here, and then you actually are, you know, going for the cheap solution, which will hurt you
In the
in
long
the long
term.
run,
Yeah.
but yeah, so there's definitely a lot of good things that the military teaches people that they can take to a civilian work environment or entrepreneurship. So, wholeheartedly believe that, service members, a lot of them will make great entrepreneurs just through the virtue of their background.
Yeah. I mean, like being an entrepreneur and the whole journey, right? It's kind of like its own different set of battlefield. Like it's but like you mentioned, right? There's the qualities the traits that you learned in the military is, obviously discipline. I think being resourceful is a great one because especially, I mean, I don't know how it is with the Canadian Army, right? But sometimes I work with the Marines, the U.S. Marines, and they're kind of given uh, kind of like the low end of like the
Mhm.
equipment and supplies and things like that, right? And like we have to make do with what we have, what have been given to complete the mission. And
Exactly.
I think like that's similar struggles, right, with being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, especially like in the early phase when it's really just you and your left hand and your right hand and an idea. Yeah, you have to rely a lot on that ability to grind and find solutions and solve problems and pivot if necessary, and create plans and execute on those plans.
How did you how do you make that transition to where you mentioned that it was all bootstrap, right? You
Mhm.
didn't get any really financial assistance from, you started it yourself. How did you make that transition to where you were like doing everything yourself to where you decided to, hey, I think I need to hire some assistance to create my own team for this business to grow?
Um, it was a couple of years into it, and it was basically I do a lot of like personal development, and
Okay.
if you listen to any business productivity guru, you will eventually hear like you gotta outsource, you gotta delegate, you gotta hire a team, you can do everything yourself. So you know it gets to you eventually, and you kind of say, okay, yeah, so I'm ready. Of course, there's a lot of like fears, like, oh, what if they steal my stuff? What if they sabotage it? What if? I mean, you can do your like risk mitigation as we do in the military, like always different courses of action, but at the end of the day, like you got to get help. You cannot do a lot. Like, I mean, there are businesses like lifestyle businesses where, like, for example, if you're a coach, like maybe what you're doing with your fitness coaching business, I can see like you can do very well just by yourself, right?
Right.
And but eventually, I mean, if you ever want to open like a big physical gym or a franchise, you will need people still. So yeah, I mean, you can have tremendous growth even as a solopreneur for a while, and you can. I know people running 7 and even 8 figure businesses with nothing but a couple of assistants, like appointment makers and whatnot. So it's possible, but in general, I would say 80-90% of any business, you will need a team, you need help, and as soon as you can afford it, or even sometimes, let's say you cannot not afford it, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and of course, I've made multiple mistakes and like miscalculating the hires, and sometimes you're like putting assets into seats uh, with haste, and that's not ideal. But yeah, definitely, there's a lot of places where you can get fairly inexpensive help still from like different parts of the world. Um,
What
it
websites do you
it
go to and look for?
it has gone up actually. Like I remember, I used to be able to hire people for like 1/3 of what the same position expects now. 10 years ago. So there's definitely that inflation. Um, because a lot of businesses are going online, a lot of
Right.
globalization and outsourcing is happening, so that is driving prices up. But I've used Upwork, I've used Fiverr, I've used Angel List. Those are probably my 3 go-to sources, and then I've tested a few others like onlinejobs.ph for the Philippine VAs, a couple of others like um, yeah, pretty much gravitated back to those 3 that I mentioned.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I've heard some of those. Obviously, Fiverr, Upwork, and online jobs.
yeah, I've also used some local kind of like apprenticeship companies here in Canada. So like I hired military veterans. I hired newcomers to Canada that had like basically a placement program. So it was a way of me giving back in a way. So yeah, those are other options where you go through like a local agency placement where they either find you good talent or maybe they just are working with those kind of like underprivileged newcomers, or
Right.
you can get a lot of help there.
So you said 2011 is when you kind of went full time
Mhm.
into the marketing business. It's been like about a decade now, right? Like in a week, you said. What what would you say has been kind of like the most trying times that you've had since you started, the most difficult times you've had, and how were you able to overcome those moments?
I mean, it's been like a constant series of ups and downs. Like there's
Right.
never like a steady stream. So like you have a good year, then you have a bad year. Like there's been, for example, like I had some issues with Google kicking me off their advertising platform, and that didn't even happen once. It happened like several times across the the decade. And I worked with them to get back on the platform and fix all of the shortcomings that they found. Sorry. So that would amount to communication and compliance and general problem solving. Like what's wrong? Well, you got to figure it out, fix it. Then like I said, there was a time when I had a physical office, and then I was okay for a while, but then things started to slow down, and I had to let go of people and close the office down twice and go back to Starbucks and start doing it again. Really, this year has been a challenging year as well. Like we're down significantly from last year. Last year was a banner year, I would say, if not the best, and the second best in terms of revenue overall. And then this year, yeah, we lost a few clients, we lost a few team members. There's things like iOS 14 affecting ad campaigns. There's a bunch of things, and it's really just having that resilience and not giving up, but also the ability to problem solve and iterate. Something doesn't work, try to do it like an AR. Why did not? Why didn't it work? Try to change something, go at it again, or figure out a different course of action. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So yeah, just talking about some of the difficult times, what would you say, Greg, as far as like the most rewarding experiences you've had? Because you've helped a lot of small businesses, right, with the marketing, and you also mentioned that you've done e-commerce
Mhm.
as well. uh, you've coached a lot of people and helped them out with with marketing and things like that. Would you say has been like the most rewarding?
Yeah. I want to break it down into micro moments and macro moments, if you will. So like there has been a series of these like micro moments. Like for example, when I remember I was just in the very few first days or weeks of my foray into affiliate marketing. So I just launched campaigns and wasn't really sure what I was doing. And then I was basically I finished my day job. I did a quick workout. I changed and I was walking to my unit to make. I think at the time I was a master corporal, and I would have made $45 or so for the evening. And I pull out my BlackBerry Pearl at the time, and I see my first lead came in, and it was 25 British pounds, which was $50. I'm like, that's more than I'm going to make right now for going down there for 4 hours. And that was like a big like that's why I still remember it.
Right.
Similarly, like when you had your first sale, like a sale is a little bit different from, let's say, generating a lead or like an app install, because it's free, right? But when somebody they got to go into their wallet, pull out the credit card, and type it into the website to trust you to get them that thing that they want. Like that's another like very uh, empowering micro moment that feels amazing. That you've created something that people are willing to give you money for. In terms of macro moments, so I guess the first one was, of course, when I could comfortably feel that I can provide financial security for my family. Definitely, that's like a big turning point where you build something that is actually um, bigger and better than your job.
Mm.
And you know beyond that, like really it's like you said, the ripple effect of helping the clients, helping small and big businesses. Like we work with Fortune 500 companies too.
Okay.
But seeing them succeed with your help, it's really cool. And coaching, I didn't coach a lot of people, actually, to be honest, only a handful um, yet, but it feels great because I used to do a lot of instructing in the army, like teaching basic courses and trade courses and leadership courses, and I enjoyed it. Like I remember I felt proud and a little bit sad when I saw my students graduate on the grad parade, and I kind of missed that feeling, if you will. And when you do coaching or consulting, then you see that your advice creates results for people. Like that's also a very empowering moment. So I kind of dumped several things at you instead of maybe
No,
one or
that's
two. But
yeah, that's great. I mean, obviously, being able to provide for your family, uh, making sure that they're comfortable as far as like financially and things like that. And then kind of just to go back to your first point, like because I have a Shopify too, is like whenever you hear uh
mhm,
that sound, right, when like on your
the
phone you get,
chain,
yeah, you get a notification that while I'm still serving and or working, right,
yeah,
this thing that I'm doing on the side is actually helping with providing. I mean, if even though it's not as much now, but I mean, eventually, hopefully, it'll get there. But it's working for you while you're sleeping, even.
Yeah, that's also a great feeling when you wake up and you check your statistics and oh, you already made a bunch of money that
Right.
morning before you even woke up. And of course, that's the hard work you put in setting it all up,
Yeah.
optimizing it, and making sure it runs smoothly to get to that point. But yeah, definitely, it's a very rewarding and
Right.
liberating feeling for sure.
Yeah.
So congratulations on your e-commerce success as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, so Greg, what's one actionable step that you can give our audience right now? Let's say if they're wanting to learn more about marketing,
Mhm.
what's one actionable step that they can take right now and towards
Um,
that?
so is it like someone who is still in the military, either full-time or part-time, and then thinking about
Yeah, I
that as the
guess
next step?
yeah. As far as like
Mhm.
whether in the military or they just want to create like a side business, what's one
Right.
thing that you want to that first step?
So, so like first step is, of course, you got to make a decision, right? That's what you want to do, and then educate yourself. Um, but do not get into paralysis by analysis. What I mean by that, I know a lot of people that just consume and learn, and oh, I need more information. No, there's a certain time that comes when you have enough to start, and then the next thing is just start and like don't be afraid of quote unquote failure. You know how they say like I guess the seals say we either win or we learn. So that's how you got to approach it.
Right.
And yeah, definitely having some sort of help or mentor, coach, guide is useful. So like me having access to that community forum of affiliate marketers early on, it was of great help to be able to ask questions and get some advice. It wasn't handholding by any means. I still had to buy my own books and try and do trial and error.
Right.
But there still was some, a community of like-minded individuals. Some were ahead, some were behind, and you could ask and get some advice and just a pat on the back or a slap on the wrist, whatever. Right? So yeah, make a decision, get enough, do your recon kind of. Basically, yeah, follow the battle procedure, right? So
Right, right.
formulate a plan, execute on the plan, and then iterate. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, I think you mentioned paralysis analysis. Like for anybody that's wanting to begin something, that's where they are stuck at, right? Like they keep thinking about it, and then like you mentioned, there's a certain point where you've had enough education, and it's time to take
Yeah,
action,
yeah. It's
right?
like Tony Robbins has a phrase where it's not that you don't know what to do, is that you don't do what you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, different people have different circumstances. Like some people, they just kind of do the opposite. They jump in both feet. Like somebody said, "Hey, let's open a restaurant." Like you and me, partner. Oh, okay, let's go. And then they don't know what they're getting into, and they lose a bunch of money. And they say, "Oh, this business crap doesn't work. I'm out." And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's the constant learner, like buying courses, buying books, watching videos, and never does anything. I had several people approach me and like, teach me. Like I'm like, okay. So I show them, kind of give them the framework, and then okay, now is the time to spend your first dollar online. And then 2 weeks go by. I'm like, did you start? No. A month goes by. Did you start? No. And then that's kind of where they ended. So that's those are the two extreme cases, and then there's everyone in between.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just got to pick an opportunity. The opportunities are ripe right now. I believe that right now is a great time to start a business, especially online. It's so easy. Like there's very little barriers to entry, very little costs. Like you pretty much just need a computer and an internet connection. A few bucks for some, things like Shopify is what,
Right.
$25 a month. ClickFunnels is $100 a month. Just a couple of plugins, a domain name, and you're in business. Like it's not the same as getting rent and
Right.
getting a
Right.
lease for 3 or 5 years on a place and negotiating, like what I mean. So that's not to say that you cannot start a physical business. Like I'm a online guy, so that's what I know. But I also know plenty of veterans who have like a coffee business, a t-shirt business, tools, adventure, whatever. Like there's all kinds of things that people are doing and succeeding.
Yeah. So Greg, before we go into our second segment here, one quick question before we head there. Online business. What's one field, I guess, would you say would be a good place to start an online business for somebody that's just beginning?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a very good question, because like we mentioned in the previous question, a lot of people, they don't know where to start. So I know like several like business models within the online space, and by no means they are the only ones, but I just want to talk about what I know and have experience with. So you can learn a skill and then provide it as a service. So in a way, that's, you can call it freelancing, but you can call it an agency, you know what I mean? So, there's a lot of businesses that got shut down because of lockdowns. They need a website to
Okay.
sell their stuff online or set appointments. Or so, becoming knowledgeable at building websites or Shopify stores or sales funnels, running ads, writing email sequences, copywriting, all of those skills that go into creating a successful online business, they will be in high demand, and they are. And there's a lot of people who are making bank and they don't know what they're doing. Like they literally just, maybe they like, they don't even have any training. They just like go and declare, I'm a Facebook ads manager,
Right.
because I spent $7 on it, and they charge people money, and some succeed, some don't. But yeah, I mean, if you have decent, you can find people who need help with that. So that's one thing, like basically getting good at something as a skill and then offering it as a service. So let's call it, digital agency model. The another one that I know is affiliate marketing, which means you can basically promote other people's products. So you don't have to worry about coming up with a product idea, how to fulfill it, how to do customer service on it, how to do all of those things. All you need to do is get somebody a conversion, a
Right.
lead, a sale, an install, a download, something like that, and you get paid a commission. So like, an insurance broker needs leads. They can pay whatever dollars per every lead you generate for them. Software developer needs downloads and installs. Your Shopify store needs sales, so you can pay somebody a commission, and they will help you get sales by doing whatever.
Right. Right.
So that's another way of basically becoming an affiliate marketer, which is like, in essence, being able to drive traffic and pre-sell an item or a service for somebody else. That's the second thing that I know. And then the third thing, that's e-commerce. So that's like what I just said, being an affiliate marketer, plus all the backend that I said that affiliates don't have to worry about, which is sourcing the product, creating the product, fulfilling it, handling returns and issues, customer service, and then all the other fun parts that come with it. So basically, I guess from the ease of implementation and the least moving parts, we're now to the place where there's more moving parts and
Right.
like more things to implement. But all three are valid business models. And then in between those, you can have like Amazon selling and Shopify selling and this and that. And I have a little bit of experience in some of those things, but those are the three that worked for me. And we made 6-7 figures a year with revenue with each of those business models. So they're valid business models, and it kind of depends what you like, what you're good at, or what you can learn quickly. Play to your strength, if you will.
Yeah, that's great advice. I just want to mention them again. So one was learn a new skill and then provide it as a service. You mentioned affiliate marketing was the second one, and then lastly, e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
Those
I mean,
three.
even what you're doing in a way that is providing a service, except that like you're a fitness trainer, so you're a coach. So you're basically selling your services online and you're delivering them online. So
All
it's
right.
in a way it's a hybrid between like e-commerce and
Skill
yeah, and the skill marketing.
service.
So again, like you can kind of shuffle those around and come up with your own version of what works for you. And um yeah, like I haven't been coaching for money anyway. I haven't been training anyone, so I'm not going to speak in depth about it. But obviously there are a lot of successful online coaching and consulting businesses as well. um
Yeah, that's great. Great points, man. So yeah, Greg. So going into our second segment here. So this is what I call the fast five. So these are the same five questions I ask all my guests. Are you
all
ready?
right
All
all
right.
right, let's go.
All right. First question. What's one hobby you enjoy?
Well, right now I'm into triathlons, and I just completed an Ironman distance triathlon last Saturday. So now I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. But yeah, that was my hobby for the last 3 years.
Wow, awesome, man. Next question. If you had to choose one person to hang out with for one day, who would it be and why?
So I think Tim Ferriss, because it's a little backstory. I actually quit my job largely because I read the 4 Hour Work Week book twice, and second time I was literally on a plane ride from South America to San Francisco. It was on my employer's behalf, and I was reading through the chapter where it says you will put off leaving your job because you're going to try to give yourself an out. Well, I'm going to wait till this trip. I'm going to wait till this bonus. I'm going to wait till this. And that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, it's time. And, at the time I was already doing quite well in my business, so it was
Right.
fairly easy. But yeah, so that was that book, and in general, this author had a profound effect on my life. So I'd love to spend an hour with him and pick his brain.
Yeah, he's a interesting person, and also got a podcast and
Yeah, I
other
listened to
books.
his.
Yeah. Um. Oh,
All right,
so
let's go.
I think I know where this is going. Recommend a book for audience to read.
Yeah, so kind of a loaded question, I would say. I mean, 4 Hour Work Week is a classic now, but definitely it affected me and gave me that last bit of confidence to actually take the plunge. But I mean, there's so many great business books and personal development books. There's just too many to list. And if somebody wants a list of recommendations, can reach out to me privately, and I'll share my bookshelf.
Your bookshelf.
Yeah.
Next question. What's your favorite quote and why?
Oof. I think Henry Ford said, "If you think you can, and if you think you can't, you're right."
Yeah.
And it is in light of the Ironman training. I think it's actually very true, because I realized once again that a lot of it, is here. The battle is the first one in your mind, and if you think you can do that distance, which seems insurmountable at first, you can. But if you start doubting yourself, like, you will basically self-sabotage and you know quit or fail.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a true statement there. If you put doubt in yourself, then yeah, obviously it's going to be a tougher hurdle to overcome. Last question, Greg. Where do you see yourself in a year, 5 years, or even 10 years from now?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, because like Jay Abraham says, a lot of business owners are very tactical and not very strategic, which means like you rarely plan beyond you know the next quarter, let alone 1, 3, 5 years out. And of course, I'm in a very volatile industry, so it's kind of hard to make projections like that just based on the past history. But here's something that I wrote on kind of like my personal goals is because I feel strongly connected to like the military and the veteran community, especially the military entrepreneurs. Um, you know, I wanted to create more vetpreneurs, and I'd love to, be in a place in 3 years where I've helped a large amount of veterans and service members launch their businesses and succeed and grow. That's kind of my personal goal.
That's awesome, man. Helping out other especially veteran entrepreneurs to, to have success in their own business.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a whole new generation coming up, like behind, and you gotta we rise by lifting others. Like
right.
probably heard that's not the quote that I would probably put there too. I mean, there's so many good ones, but
Right.
yeah, it feels like I'm in a stage in my life, and this year because of the difficulties I had in business and in life, and the whole COVID lockdowns and stuff, I did a lot of soul searching and rereading some of those personal development books and listening to podcasts and speakers, and definitely, yeah, like I think I'm at the stage where I need to find that next mission, that next higher purpose than just what I've been doing so far. So maybe that's partially because I was a little bit stuck, because maybe it's something higher is telling me that your calling is someplace else. And right now I feel in my heart that maybe that's where I should be, like just passing around the knowledge and lifting some people up so that then we together can rise.
Yeah, it's awesome. And Greg, thank you for sharing your story, and hopefully we'll hear more about your journey, and also in helping others, especially military veterans, in their entrepreneurship journey. But before we go, Greg, where can our audience, where can they follow you? Where can they support you at?
Yeah, so I'm active on Instagram. It's HHour48. Um, my hashtag there. Then also you can look me up using my first and last on Facebook or LinkedIn. And
Okay.
I have a few Facebook groups based on what is your main interest, but basically like I talk about entrepreneurship, Google advertising, and a couple of other things in there. So you can find me and join them. And also, if you're interested to look at my business, it's h-hour.biz. That's basically the agency website that can explain more about what we do and what we offer and how we help businesses grow and scale to 6-7 figures and beyond. So check it out if you need any help with marketing.
All right, everyone. Make sure you go check out Greg on all those social media sites. Again, that's HHour, #hour.biz for his website, and then HHour48 on Instagram. Look him up on Facebook and LinkedIn. Greg Potapenko. Greg, thank you so much for sharing your story, man. And hopefully we'll hear more about you and your business later down the road.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully the audience benefits and learns a thing or two. And if somebody's life improves because of you and I having this conversation, that means it's all worth it, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. Just even one person, what I mean? Like if we've made a difference in that one person, that's a great day for me.
Right on, brother. Thank you.
All right, brother. Take care.
Okay. Have a good one.